This is the game plan. Let's go. When the team's on the air, you better know that it's over. These dudes colder than wintertime, grab a pullover. And if Cordell starts to speak, better know that it's on. He shut you down before you speak to let you know that you're wrong. So get your facts right, homie, before you step in the flames. Because James hates sitting down and listening to lames. And if Danny got $1 for every show that he kills, he'd be a millionaire living up in Beverly Hills. But if Holden wasn't a good guy, you'd probably be dead. Because this dude won't stop until he gets in your head. So turn the volume right up because the game plan is on. The best in sports commentary is right after this song. Peace.
Welcome into another exciting episode of the Game Plan. I'm your host, as always, Cordell Moody. Alongside with me, as always, is Eric Alvarado. Eric, how you doing today?
I'm good, and it is as always. I'm not going anywhere. All right, and listen, these weekends waiting for Tuesday to come around, it just takes too long for me, man. It's good to be back.
It really is, and I feel like there's too much to talk about by the time Tuesday gets here because you already have all the action from Sunday, and then Monday comes around, and then more things are revealed and uncovered, and it's like, man, how do we cram this all into 60 minutes? I have no idea.
But we're going to do our best.
We always will, and whatever we don't cover today, we always will get to on Wednesday. We make sure that we get our fans everything that they need to prepare for the next week and what to think of and what to recap on. But let's talk about your winners, your losers. What do you have going on for your losers? Let's start with losers today. Who's your loser? Want to
start with the losers? I'd rather get those losers out of the way. Right?
Exactly. Let's talk about them. Who you got?
There's a lot of losers this week, especially with the injury bug going around. But in a week of great games, I'm gonna have to go with the biggest losers right now are the New York Giants.
The New York Giants. The 0-5 New York Giants.
As if their record didn't show that they were the biggest losers already. They just lost every receiver on that roster in one game.
They sure
So
did.
I don't know if I should be giving this loser award to the Giants team or Eli Manning because he's looking at nobody out there now.
He really is. Hey, I can't. It's going to be rough for them. 0-6, 0-7. Here they come.
0-7. Here they come. And you know that I mean, and we'll get to it more later. But that Odell Beckham injury was gruesome.
It was.
But
it really was.
Now with nobody to throw to, your star receiver gone, definitely for the year.
Number 2 receiver gone.
Number 2 receiver gone, and their number 3 receiver got hurt too.
Yep.
Everybody. It's like they just decided, you know what, man, forget it. Let's just get hurt and take the season off.
Yeah,
right?
You might as well. Yeah.
That's my loser for the week.
Shoot. Honestly, I would say that is a very, very big loss right there. For me, though, I have to go with the NFL as a organization. With everything that's going on right now, it just doesn't seem like there is a winning situation for the NFL, which is why they're in a lose-lose situation, which is why they're my losers, obviously, for the week. And it's not something that they cause on themselves, but they're not making things much better for themselves. Neither's Trump. So, to me, they got to be the losers, and we'll talk more and more into that. But on a happier note, let's get some winners going. Let's get a better feel going on. Who do you got as your winner?
As my winner, I'm going to go with a player who just week in and week out always does his thing. And you can count on him, and he always has some magic up his sleeves. And that's the man, Aaron Rodgers. That drive at the end of the game to just he's just incredible. I can't get over it. It never gets old watching him. I mean, God dog, man.
Hold on 1 second. Repeat that again. We had a little breakup, a little technical issues. What exactly did you say about Aaron Rodgers being on that last drive of the game?
Oh, Aaron Rodgers driving down the field, pulling the magic out of his hat and putting points on the board when they needed it the most. It's just it never ceases to amaze me how incredible Aaron Rodgers is.
Well,
so I mean, him as an individual and the Packers as a whole, because they're having a great season, he's the winner for me this week.
Winners, 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 man. It's hard to come by winners for me right now because I'm just so down on this NFL situation. But I have to say the winner for me would probably be the Chiefs right now because still nobody would think coming into the season that they would be 5-0. And they are not just doing it by luck. They are going out there and they are dominating these games. Some of them may be closer than others, but for the most part, you see them taking control of these games. And when they need to come up with a big play, they come up with it. And the Chiefs right now are the biggest surprise and the biggest winners right now. They should be Super Bowl favorites going into Week 6. Now, that can obviously change, but going into Week 6, they should definitely be over the Patriots, and they should be over the Steelers. Definitely over the Steelers as of right now. So, yeah, Chiefs definitely got to be winners for me. And
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and just like we were talking about with the Giants, and is the Giants more losers than Eli? I don't know if the Chiefs are more winners or Alex Smith, because his stock just continues to rise to the point where we were hearing a little bit of chitter-chatter about the Chiefs listening to phone calls about trades for him at the end of the season. But if he brings them to the promised lands, I don't see a way you trade this guy. I cannot fathom that.
I don't either. I think the Mahone project, it will have to be pushed aside for the time being if he just keeps continuing to produce like he is.
Well, let me ask you this. If he does take them to the Super Bowl, right?
All the way to the Super Bowl.
Right. If he does take them to the Super Bowl,
yeah.
Do you think it's a possibility that they just trade Mahomes?
No, I definitely don't think it's a possibility they do that, considering they went on a limb picking him in the first place. And you know what I mean? So they obviously think a lot of him.
Mm-hmm.
I actually wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't do it personally, but I actually wouldn't be surprised if he brings him to the Super Bowl and whatnot. And regardless of the result of that game, I still wouldn't be surprised if they do trade Alex Smith away.
Wow. Super Bowl champion Alex Smith.
Well, maybe. Consider, all things considered, what they would get in return if it's something that they see more valuable and they think they have the future in Mahomes. Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. I mean, can you imagine, if they go to the Super Bowl and they win and they trade Alex Smith?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. If they do something like that to him, again, for a younger player, then it'll be like the 49ers all over again for Alex Smith.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so nobody wants to see a repeat of the 49ers situation that he went through. But speaking of the 49ers, we did have an issue with the 49ers in Colts game when we talked about the anthem. And talking about the anthem, we're talking about Vice President Mike Pence, who decided to walk out. He decided, again, to walk out when he saw 6 players kneeling. And 49ers obviously had something to say about it. More specifically, they believe it's a PR stunt. But don't take it from me. We're going to listen to a clip, and then we'll get into what our thoughts are if we agree or not.
My honest reaction, first off, does anybody know the last time he's been to a football game? Okay, with that being said, he tweeted out a 3-year-old photo from at a Colts game. So with the information that I have, the last time he's been to a Colts game was 3 years ago. So this looks like a PR stunt to me. He knew our team has had the most players protests. He knew that we were probably going to do it again. And so this is what systemic oppression looks like. A man with power comes to the game, tweets a couple of things out, and leaves the game with an attempt to thwart our efforts. Again, based on the information I have, that's the assumption that I made.
All right, and that is safety Eric Reed for the 49ers, thinking it is a PR stunt. Reason being, as he already said, for those who couldn't hear the report, is that he hasn't been to a Colts game in 3 years, and all of a sudden he shows up to this one, and reports have come out that he actually had to be in California a couple hours later, so he was going to leave that game anyway. So What are you thinking about this? When you heard this, when this news dropped on Sunday, what were your first thoughts?
On some sort of a lighter note, like when I first heard it, I'm thinking, well, he probably just left because he's at a 49ers Colts game. Like borderline torture. But I'm in a more serious side. I'm not surprised by it. And I did read after the stories came out an article on the Washington Post where it was saying that Trump had ordered Pence to walk out if they do protest the national anthem.
Yep.
And to me, it does seem like it was planned. It was a PR stunt just to create some buzz. And, you know, I have somewhat of a take on this whole thing now, a new take. I think we're losing sight of what these protests were actually about and meant for. And it's becoming more about Trump and the flag. And it's totally dominated the actual cause that it was meant to reach out and make aware of. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I completely understand exactly what you're saying. And I mean, I couldn't agree with you.
And I was listening to.
Go ahead.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's totally hijacked it. And I was listening to Stephen A. Smith earlier today.
Yeah.
And he had a great take on the fact that maybe they should stop protesting the national anthem because the point is not getting across anymore because we're no longer talking about the initial, like the first cause that it was meant to bring about, like Kaepernick wanted everybody to be aware of, and now it's just become some other kind of debacle, and it's lost its point. You know what I mean? And there's no end game.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly how I feel if they should or should not, but I totally agree with that point.
Well, here's my thing. I have to be honest with you, and I have to agree. I have to disagree with stopping the protest. Because if you stop the protest, then they win. If you stop the protest right now, then you're doing exactly what they want, which is basically you're admitting you're wrong. Like that's how I would take it. If especially because Trump has said something, now that Trump has got himself involved in this, if they all of a sudden say, you know what, we're going to stand, then it's like, yeah, see, we were right. We told you should have been standing, yada, 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 yada. And I don't want to see something like that happen because they weren't wrong for what they did. They aren't wrong for how they want to protest oppression. Who are you to tell somebody who's oppressed how they should protest? That is exactly why they feel oppressed. They can't even protest how they want to protest because of the majority. And that's not right. So if this is how they want to protest, then I'm for them doing it how they feel it should be done. I have heard ridiculous things such as, you know, if they took a knee during the coin flip, this wouldn't be an issue. Well, who would even be paying attention to them during a coin flip if they're taking a knee? Nobody would even understand that. They would just think they're taking a knee before the game starts. That's stupid. There is nothing that they can actually do on the field that can protest besides what they are doing, because this is the only political thing that is in the sport. There's nothing else in the sport that's political but the flag and the anthem. Those are the only two politics in there. So if you want to protest against something political, then the way to do it is by going against the flag and what it's supposed to represent that it's not representing.
Do you think that's the only way now still?
Yes, because there is nothing else that is going to make an impact. You cannot protest something. You cannot have a successful protest without making an impact. If you are having a protest that is not impactful, you're wasting your time. Nobody's going to be talking about it. Nobody's going to be thinking about it. You take a knee before the game, before the flag goes up, nobody's going to even notice that you're taking a knee. It really, there is nothing that's going to be attention grabbing. There's nothing.
Yeah.
What are you? think about it. If we went to a game, you and me, we're at a game, or anybody else who's listening to us, you're sitting at the game and you have people warming up, you got people throwing balls, you got the kicker and they're kicking into the net, and this is all before the anthem goes up and everything like that. Now the players all come to their side after the coin flip and everybody's chit-chatting, and you have some guys just chilling taking a knee. And then the anthem comes up and they stand up and they honor the flag how you would like them to. Nobody would have even noticed that they took that knee. Not unless it was like the entire team who took a knee. That's how it would have to happen. The entire team would have to take a knee in order for that to be noticed. Just like they did when the Cowboys did it when they locked arms. That's the only way. But if you just have 6 players taking a knee before the anthem and then they stand up, nobody's even going to notice that they took a knee. They were just chilling. As far as I'm concerned, they weren't protesting. They were just relaxing until the game started.
Yeah, well, you got a good point. I feel like this whole Trump thing, it's like muddying the water because we're no longer talking about the oppression. You know what I mean? Like, we're just talking about, Trump called the NFL SOBs and, Mike Pence, he leaves the game and they're disrespecting the flag. Like, we're no longer talking about the original issue.
Right. So
the more they continue to do this, the more these new issues that are coming about, with the president and the flag and whatnot, the more they're just going to be being talked about, and they're totally hijacking the whole situation.
Well, there are some changes that I feel are about to come. We're going to see exactly how they fight it. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Jerry Jones decided to give his opinion, and we will discuss exactly what he had to say and what he plans on doing moving forward with his NFL team. Stay tuned, WUBA 88.1 FM. Cordell Moody, Eric Alvarado will be right back. And we are back here on the Game Plan. I'm your host, as always, Cordell Moody. Alongside with me, I got my man, Eric Alvarado. Now, we were just getting into a very serious topic that we have going on, all the drama going on in the NFL. If you haven't heard about it, then I have no idea where you've been. Must be under a rock. But obviously, the protesting going on with the NFL players compared to against the owners, and then we got Trump, and it's just a mess. We got a whole mess going on. And now, on top of the mess that we have going on, we have Jerry Jones, who decided to voice his thoughts, his opinions. We're going to let you guys listen to that real quick, and then we'll get right back into where we left off, talking about Trump and should the NFL players stop their protests because their message isn't getting across. We'll get into all of that. Let's just listen to this real quick, and we'll get back.
If there's anything that is disrespectful to the flag, then we will not play. Period. We're going to respect the flag, and I'm going to create the perception of it. I know this, that we cannot, in the NFL, in any way, give the implication that we are tolerating the disrespect of the flag. We cannot do that. I know the Vice President did leave because, in his opinion, the teams were. We know that there is a serious debate in this country about those issues, but there is no question in my mind that the National Football League and the Dallas Cowboys are going to stand up for the flag. So we're clear.
You had 2 defensive players raise their fists at the conclusion of the national anthem. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I don't know anything about that, but if there's anything that is disrespectful to the flag, then we will not play. You understand? Under no circumstances will we, as an organization or as coaches, players, not support and stand and recognize and honor the flag.
So that's exactly what Jerry Jones had to say about the issue. Eric, do you really think that if the players decide to take a knee for the Dallas Cowboys, that they will really not play? Do you think they should call this bluff? Or do you think that they should literally just give up on this anthem protest? What are you thinking?
Well, a little bit of both. I would love to see them call us bluff, because I would love to see him made look like a fool for making those statements. The strongest statements about the anthem protest so far by any owner, for sure. So your team's in contention. trying to make the playoffs off the heels of a great run last year. And if your players take a knee, now you're going to intentionally throw the game, basically. I can't even imagine what the fans would say then. You know?
That's what I'm thinking, and that's why I really, really would love to see Dak Prescott take a knee. Oh my goodness, I would go crazy if he did.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'd love to see that. I don't think it's gonna happen because, as we've seen, they have been standing. I mean, they took their knee prior to the anthem, and then they would all stand.
Mm-hmm.
But after seeing these comments, I wonder if it's going through any of the players' heads, like, try me, like,
yeah,
I call your bluff.
I'm saying.
But then again, it takes away, like, nobody wants to put their team in jeopardy. You know what I mean? Like, I doubt that it's going through Dak's head, like, well, I call his bluff. But then if he actually sits you put your team at a serious disadvantage to win a game.
But at the same time, if I am a player, and one of my other players who I respect, and I respect his thoughts and opinions and how he feels, and I believe he should be able to do whatever is in the bylaws that allows him to do what he wants to do. And there's nowhere in the NFL bylaws that says that he cannot take a knee. If that's what's in his heart and that's what he wants to do, then he gets benched, and now we lose. Oh, no. My issue goes straight to the top. My issue is not with the player. My issue you're really going to cost us a game because you disagree with how he goes about expressing his feelings? Really?
I get your point, but I don't think the players should play with fire. Okay? Because in the end, they are there to play a football game, and they are there to win those games. Okay? I've always said, politics aside, this is football. Okay? And I don't think any of those players should, as much as I would like to, like, in me, as I have no dog in this fight. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a player. I'm not earning the paychecks they're earning. I'm not providing my family with that kind of money. You know, I would love to see it happen. I would love to see them call his bluff. But if I was a player, I probably would not play with fire and not put my team at risk of losing a game by not having a star player, you know?
No, I don't know, man. I'm telling you, I have to disagree. Honestly, I
get where you're coming from. I totally understand.
I understand that this is their job is football, but this is bigger than football. And
but hear me out now, okay? So now let's just say Dak. Let's just use Dak as an example, since you mentioned him before. Say Dak Prescott, right?
Mm-hmm.
He takes a knee.
Yep.
And Jerry Jones sits him for the game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then Dak goes off saying, I have every right to express my feelings and my beliefs and whatnot. And now Jerry Jones fires you.
That's okay.
No, that's not okay. Listen to me. Hold on. I get the point. In the grand scheme and the purpose, like the point that he's making, that gets across, right? But now Dak, okay,
mm-hmm.
he has a family to feed.
Mm-hmm.
Now he loses his job,
mm-hmm.
and then he ends up another Colin Kaepernick,
mm-hmm.
and now he's out of a paycheck.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
What do you mean? You listen. I get it. I get standing for a purpose and standing for the entire thing about the oppression and whatnot. I totally get it, and I understand, and I'm for it. But nothing is gonna get in between me and providing for my family.
You're missing it, and this is the part you're missing. And this is the part that other people have a point about a little bit with Kaepernick. Kaepernick was not playing his greatest football when this whole thing happened, right?
Right.
Okay. If Dak gets fired by Jerry Jones, I promise you he will get another job. You are not.
You can't guarantee that. No, you can't guarantee that because now he's just as much as a PR nightmare.
No, but he has the skill that's worth it. the talent that's worth it. That's the difference between him and Kaepernick.
Granted, Kaepernick did have an off year. He wasn't playing great
Not
football.
he had multiple off years before this happened.
Okay, but he was still an upgrade from a lot of these teams who had signed other quarterbacks.
But Dak Prescott is a young stud. This is different. This is a second.
Kaepernick's no old dog.
He's not an old dog, but Kaepernick had maybe 2 good years in him, right?
He might have been a victim of a poor system too.
Right. Okay. So did Dak Prescott not win Offensive Rookie of the Year last year? Or was it Zeke?
I'm pretty sure it was
between
Zeke.
the two. It was between the two. And that
I'm positive it was Zeke. He led the league in rushing, I'm pretty sure.
Whichever one it was, I can't talk about him because he may actually be suspended anyway for 6 games. But if you have a quarterback who is competing for awards at the end of the year, you're telling me that you don't think another team will pick this man up?
Okay,
especially because his contract, he is still under a rookie contract. That is cheap, my friend.
No, you're right. But Cordell, let me take it away from Dak. Okay. Let me use another example, and let's say I'm talking about a Robert, like a Hoyer or a Case Keenum who's in as a backup, or any of these other guys.
Those guys, right?
Who aren't as okay. So now, what do you think's going through their head?
Right.
Say they're in the position in Dallas. Like, they have a family to provide for. They can't be taking these kind of chances.
So, yes. So, for them, even though they're not on Jerry Jones' team, so for them, and the reason I guess we can bring that up is because the fact that they are having a owners meeting next week where they will be talking about this topic and talking about if they should mandate it each team policy-wise for them standing for the national anthem for those who have not heard. So, if that becomes the case, first of all, I think that's a horrible look on the owners if they do that because of the simple fact that you literally listened to exactly what Trump said. You locked arms in some type of unity for 1 week, and then you did exactly what Trump said. That doesn't fly. Then your unity talk was all garbage, meant nothing, because you ended up doing what the man wanted you to do anyway. So, if we're talking about a Case Keenum or anybody like that, they cannot be the ones to do it. If they do it, though, they need to have the support of the actual stars and franchise players on those teams. They're the ones who have to step up. No. When I say that, I mean those players need to take a knee as well. It cannot be the backups and the franchise players, the star players are the ones who have to do it. They have to fight for those rights for those other players. Now it's basically, think about it like this. So you have the NFL players who are protesting, and the reason they are protesting is because they are doing it for the voiceless, right? Now, if the NFL decides that they want to make this policy or whatever have you, now the voiceless in the NFL are those backup players because they can't speak what they want to do. They can't do anything. But for those franchise players, now it's up to them to speak up for their voiceless brothers on their team. Someone's got to do it. And if you're the franchise player and the leader of these teams, it should be you. I'm just saying.
I get it. And I get what you're saying, and I'm on your side with it for the most part. It's just I think when it comes down to the livelihood of these players and of their personal lives and home life, it's a chance and a risk that a lot of them probably aren't willing to take.
And this is exactly
because they have to look out for theirs.
And this is exactly why Eric Reed, safety, 49ers, said this is what systemic oppression looks like. Because they're now being oppressed by the system. They can't even voice their opinion by the system. And this is this is what gives you more of a reason to protest. This is exactly why everybody should.
And you're right, but we can't lose sight of the fact that they are being employed by the NFL, and they're not breaking any rules. They're not breaking any rules. No, I don't believe. I saw some articles. Maybe there's like something written about, but there is no rule for it, right?
Exactly.
But if your boss tells you to do something, if you want your job, you got to do what he says. Otherwise, you suffer the consequences, and it's a sad truth, and is a little bit of a taste of what oppression looks like, but that's also your work life. That's you follow your employer.
But not if you have power.
You listen to him.
But you have power in this situation. As
You don't have power. You don't have
Oh,
power.
no.
You have say. You have a say,
power.
and you have a platform to speak.
All right. I'll
But
give
you can't be the one. It goes from the top down, and it starts with the owner.
No. It's a mutual thing. It is a 50-50 deal between ownership and player. Because
In what way?
What way? So I'm going to use an extreme example to get my point across. All right?
Okay. Yeah.
LeBron James on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now I'm not talking about, his general manager stuff and all of that. I'm talking about the worth of the team dramatically shifted when he left Cleveland and then when he came back to Cleveland. That changed dramatically in the worth of Cleveland product, attendance, everything changed by one player being there. Now, we're talking about the NFL, so even if we were talking about Tom Brady or something like that, that he makes so much of a profit for them. Like, you need the players in order to get a profit. You get nothing without these players as an owner. That's why I'm saying they have power. Like, you can't make money without us. It's that simple.
I get it. But I think the comparison to the NBA is totally different because in the NBA, a team can be totally dominated by one player, and a game can be totally dominated and won by one player. In the NFL, that doesn't happen.
You don't think so?
No, because you brought up the NFL, you brought up the Patriots, and the Patriots have shown that they can win games without Tom Brady.
Yes, but not every team can do that. For example, we've seen
the Patriots profit and their income and whatnot is based on their success, not by one player.
Hold on. I have to disagree with you there because, first of all, if we talked about the Colts and when Peyton Manning was gone, they ended up getting the first round pick because they were that horrible by one player.
Well, if you're
leaving.
bad, you're bad.
Well, they weren't bad until Peyton Manning got injured for the entire year. They weren't thought of as becoming a choice to get the first pick, but the Patriots do not make the playoffs if Tom Brady's out for an entire year. Not especially with this team right now, this Patriots team right here. They ain't making no playoffs without Tom Brady. The Colts without Andrew Luck, look at how they're doing now. Derek Carr and the Raiders, look at how they're doing now. No way are the one player, if it's the right player, especially if it's the quarterback, changes everything. Everybody knows that.
I think the point that you're making holds most true when you're talking about the quarterback.
Yes. And
only the quarterback, really.
Well, that depends because as we just talked about, Eli without Odell, we have an issue here. Right?
Well, it's not just Eli without Odell. It's Eli with a poor offensive line. It's an unsurmountable thing. It's just so many things. It's not just Odell. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like in the NFL, it's like that. You know what I mean? Like it takes every single player on the field to have success.
Right, but we have to acknowledge that there's certain players that, a little bit more important.
Yes,
a little bit more.
But to my point, okay, if your boss and your employer asks you to do something, chances are if you want your job, you have to do what they say, whether or not you like it or not. A lot of times I don't like what my boss at my job has to say and wants me to do, but I got to listen to him because he's the one giving me the check at the end of the day. And that's what keeps my family afloat.
That's why you need unity. You need true unity in the NFL players. They need to be unified. If they want to talk about being unified, then you need to be unified. And they cannot get rid of their entire starting lineup. No way. They can't do that because they know that, first of all, the fans are going to be on another level of mad because they just came to this game to watch their team get blown out because their entire second string is in. And then your season is shot. There's no way that if the team – this is exactly why people go on strike. Like, it's because you can't come up with the replacements that are going to do as well. And then eventually they get what they want. It takes a matter of time, but you need that unity to do it. And the NFL doesn't have it. And that's why the owners have this type of power. But if they actually acknowledge their power and wanted to exercise it as a unit, this is a whole different conversation we're having. Now we're talking about when are the owners going to, let the players be what they want to be, do what they want to do as far as this protest. They can easily win this in 1 week. In 1 week.
There is no win. I don't think there ever is a win. And that's my point that I'm trying to say about these protests, because there is no end result. Like, what happened? Okay, so you keep taking a knee, but like, what happens? Like, what's the result that you're looking for? Like, what's the end game? How do they win?
So the end game
right now it's just a big mess, and the message is getting muddied, and it's getting, and nobody can understand it because all these other issues are coming about.
Right. So first thing, you have to do this. You have to do this one step at a time. You got to handle one issue at a time if you want to do this. Right. So first thing you got to do is get your owners to stop oppressing you from doing what you want to do. That's the first thing. Once you get them off your back, then the next thing you have to do is clean up and redirect where the message is supposed to go. That's the next thing that you have to do. Now, that part's a little bit more tricky because you're basically battling players versus Trump. That part's a little bit more tricky.
But that's not the point, this was never about players versus Trump.
Right. So you have to get it off of that. You have to redirect it back on the proper message. And I'm saying that part is a little bit more difficult because every time you try to redirect it, Trump is going to be trying to intercept it. Right.
Yeah.
So
that's my point. That's my point. I think that's a revolving door that's just going to keep ongoing.
You have to keep on trying, or else you give up, and then what are we left with? Nothing.
Well, then there's another. Then you find another way. When there's a will, there's a way, and I'm sure there is another way to do this. Because right now, this isn't working.
All right. Well, we're gonna have to see, and I'm sure Kaepernick would probably disagree, but we'll see. Hopefully, when he gets back in the league, because the Titans. Kaepernick's team reached out to the Titans, and the Titans rejected him as well. So, not looking good again as usual for Kaepernick. But we will take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into a little bit more drama that deals with the NFL that doesn't deal with politics. We'll be right back here on WUBA 88.1 FM. Stay tuned. And we're back here on the Game Plan. I'm your host, as always, Cordell Moody. Alongside with me, I got my man, Eric Alvarado. Eric, I'm drained. We've had a lot of conversation now about this whole Trump thing. I'm over it as of right now. I want to shut it off. I want to get to some other drama that's on a little bit of a lighter note. Let's talk about so I want to talk about the Dolphins line coach, pun intended, line coach.
I see what you did there.
You see what I did there? So,
yeah.
So for those who don't know, Dolphins offensive line coach Chris Forster.
Yeah, Forster.
Forster, yes, resigned after video emerged of him sniffing a white powdery substance. He took 3 lines of it before a meeting at Dolphins facility. So for you Florida people, I'm sure you are probably a little disturbed. And now maybe you understand a little bit of your woes to what's going on with the Dolphins and why the Dolphins look so bad as of late. Maybe this has something to do with it. Maybe they were, he was coaching a little too high of a level for his players to really.
I see what you did there again. You're on a roll.
And I know, right? For his players to be able to actually learn from this guy. What were your first thoughts when you saw the video, when you heard what was happening? Tell me what was going through your head, because I clearly know what was going through his. What was yours?
Total disbelief, and almost I started laughing, honestly, because how could you be so stupid? It's just it blows my mind. I don't think we've ever seen anything like this before. I mean, we've seen things of who was it? Tunsil with the whole the weed thing with the gas mask or something, or the bong, or whatever it was. Yeah. And but nothing ever like this. Nothing ever like this.
So crazy.
I'm not gonna be one to say that this is the reason for the woes, but it is something. Man, I don't know. I don't really have much of a take on it. He made a terrible mistake. He probably won't ever be employed again in the NFL or much anywhere really, because there's I don't know many employers that are gonna tolerate that kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
And I mean, granted, the Dolphins were not that it matters anymore because he resigned. They were doing their due diligence of trying to find out when it was recorded. Was it even? Did they find out when it was recorded?
I'm not sure if they found out when it was. I just know that they definitely knew that it was done at the Dolphins facility.
Well, you get what you deserve, man.
Yeah, and his family and him, they definitely put out a message saying he's gonna, with the support of his family, he's gonna try and be clean and all of that fun stuff. But to me, that's garbage. I don't believe it. And the reason I don't believe it is not because I'm saying that people who are addicts or whatever have you can't become clean, but because this goes beyond just him. This is if he's gonna get clean, that means that his wife needs to get clean, because obviously they did it together. From the message, from what he was saying in the video, I do this, and I think about you, and I wish I could taste this off your expletive words. And so it's obviously a thing that the two of them did together. So this isn't a mistake. This is a habit that he has and that he clearly enjoyed doing with his wife, and I don't know who else. But if it's something that he's going to get clean, it's not going to be off the support of his wife unless the two of them are doing this together and getting themselves cleaned.
Yes. And who knows? I don't want to make any assumptions, but if he does have an issue, God willing, he can get the help that he needs and get his life back on track, because everybody knows you continue down that line, it's not a fun slope to go down. But I wish the best for him. He made a terrible mistake. There's not much else to be said. Good luck.
Yeah, well,
good luck.
Yeah, because we're clearly not going to see you again. So
No.
Enjoy getting your help, and I hope you stay safe. And it was it was nice seeing your work on the field for the Dolphins. Not really, but just trying to be nice. But to stick to on-field issues, a lot of teams now have on-field issues because of these injuries. And we already got to it. We talked about it a little bit with Odell Beckham going down, but he's obviously not the only one. Who else do you see who was a huge factor who went down this week?
Oh, man. It's a lot to think about, but I'm going to say J.J. Watt. I'm going to say Watt, not just – honestly, and it's not just for what he does on the field, but for what he does off the field. It's a huge blow to the entire organization and community. And it's just a shame to see a player of that magnitude, or any player really, but a player as good and as good-hearted as J.J. Watt to go down. It's just a shame to see.
It really is, and those are the two big ones. The two big ones obviously are Odell and J.J. Watt, because they're both done for the season, and those are two crucial ones, both of them in tears leaving, and man, you got to feel bad for them. But I want to talk about Odell, and I think his is the worst one, because now the conversation that we all need to have is, should he have held out? Should he have held out? Because now, this is contract year, and he's hurt. Should he? What do you think? Will he regret this decision of not holding out and deciding to play, and now he's hurt?
He may totally be regretting that decision, and I don't know if he should have or not. I mean, I'm all for go get your money, go get what you deserve, what you feel you deserve, what we all know you deserve. Arguably one of the best wide receivers in the league, exceptional talent, makes a huge impact for the Giants organization when he's on the field, because you can see what happens when he's not. Maybe. Do you think he should have held out?
At this point,
because then you got to deal with all the backlash of holding out and looking like you're selfish and whatnot. But like I said, I'm all for go get your money.
Yeah, and this is to me why I feel like he should have he maybe should have held out, because if he did, first of all, if he did and they were losing games, they are losing games. Like in hindsight,
Well, they were when he wasn't.
Right, exactly. So they were losing
Yeah.
games. So in hindsight, seeing them, they would have probably gone 0-4 or 0-5 without him, honestly.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that would have changed some minds really quickly on getting him back in there. So in hindsight, he probably could have held out. But now the next question I also have is, does he try to get more for his worth somewhere else? Does he stay with the Giants next year now? Because what if the Giants try to downplay how much money he should get because of this injury, and all of a sudden somebody else wants to give him more money? Does he give the Giants a hometown discount? Does he decide to go elsewhere and try and win a championship somewhere else?
Well, I definitely seeing Odell. I definitely don't think that he's somebody that's going to give them a hometown discount, seeing as he was trying to be the highest paid player in the NFL.
Right.
So I don't think that's an option. I'm sure the Giants are thinking a little bit like, okay, God, please don't let this be another Victor Cruz issue where we pay some money and you're never the same again, and you deal with injuries continuously afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure where they're going to go with this. I'm sure the story will unfold a little bit more as the season goes on. But man, it would be interesting to see him go somewhere else too. And I'm sure he's thinking about it, seeing the way his team is performing and seeing the direction that they're going. I mean, their arrow's not really pointing up right now.
No, not at all. So we will have to see exactly where it goes. We hope he, first of all, gets healthy and gets back on the field, hopefully for next year, hopefully by season opener for next year, because that was a gruesome injury. We'll see exactly where he is. Injuries are just biting everybody and hitting everybody in the worst ways. But one team who got hit earlier in the season now just made a big trade. After losing David Johnson, they have a trade and they get Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson is now with the Cardinals, and Jamal Charles is out. Or sorry, Chris Johnson is out. Chris Johnson is no longer with them. They've released Chris Johnson. Adrian Peterson is now going to be their guy. Do you like this move? Do you think it's going to change something?
I think it'll be an upgrade, because ever since David Johnson went down, they have had not much of a running game at all. So I think he's definitely going to provide a little bit extra. I'm a little cautious to think that he's gonna come in there and totally turn things around. I know that he's hungry, because he wasn't very happy with the amount of touches he was getting in New Orleans, and now those touches are definitely going to go up in Arizona. But I'm a little wary to think that he's gonna come in and be the AP of old.
Well, actually, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if he comes in and he is 80% of what he used to be. 80-85% of what he used to be.
80% of what he used to be is still a lot better than most, Yeah,
because the Saints just didn't use him. The Saints didn't use him properly. If the Cardinals can use him properly, then I see no issues with him. Let him get into a rhythm out there. Let him get into the flow, and things will happen. He will make things happen for them. But the Saints, he should have never been there in the first place. I'm sorry. The way Sean Payton runs that offense, there's no reason he should have been there. They were both kidding themselves to think that they would be a nice marriage together. Now he's with the Cardinals. I don't think it's going to change much as far as them getting to the playoffs, because Carson Palmer is still your quarterback, unless all of a sudden by having Adrian Peterson there and getting a run game, it covers up the weaknesses of Carson Palmer. If that happens, then maybe we should watch out for the Cardinals, because they may be able to make a little bit of noise. But as of right now, let's take it easy. Let's see exactly where it goes, how he is brought into it. Let's see what type of Adrian Peterson we are getting, and then we'll be able to make that call. But we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we still have a lot more to talk about. We're running out of time, but we're going to get to it all. Stick with us. This is WUBA 88.1 FM, The Game Plan. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Game Plan. Your host, Cordell Moody, alongside with me, I got my man, Eric Alvarado, and we are still having a lot of topics. We started heavy. We're getting lighter as the show goes on. So we're going to talk about a new debut that we had coming out, and that debut is with our man, Mitchell Trubisky, Monday Night Football. He put on, I would say, a pretty up and down show. Do you think it was more good or more bad on his debut?
I think given the circumstances of being, your NFL debut being prime time against a very good defense, I'm going to say it was a good debut. He obviously didn't go out there and light it up, but I saw a lot of flashes. And, there was a few balls that got away from him. He also dealt with some players having some drops. And let's not forget, he's got nobody to throw to. There's no down the field weapons. They have no down, like, deep threats. And it was just tough for him to open the field. He was dealing with a small field given the talent that he has. But the throws that I saw, the decisions that I saw, he was able to get outside the pocket and maneuver it a little bit. I liked what I saw. It's tough. I mean, you're going under the big lights, your first game against a defense that really gets after you. But given the circumstances, I thought I was impressed.
I would say that I was impressed because of the fact that they were still in the game. He kept them in the game. He didn't make any huge costly mistakes that would cost them the game. He kept them in it. He kept them competitive, which is better than we've seen as of late. So at this point, I would say it wasn't a bad call to put him in the game, get him some experience, put on a show for their fans, because obviously their fans want to come and see them with the best chance to win. And I think he gives them that as long as his confidence isn't shaken, because they will lose a lot of games, I still believe, because as you said, they don't have the weapons for him to be in success like a Deshaun Watson has, or even if Patrick Mahomes came into the offense. He's more of a situation like Kaiser with the Browns. They are not in situations where they're going to win, but they are in situations where they can gain more experience. So it's important for them during this experience to learn as much as possible and not have their confidence shaken. If they get their confidence shaken at this young, tender age of being a rookie quarterback, then it's not going to play well for their future. So it's up to these quarterback coaches and head coaches to make sure that they keep their head on right and they're not too discouraged and it doesn't wreck their entire NFL career.
Right. Yes, absolutely. Their main goal from here on out right now is to groom this guy to be the best that he can be. And hopefully in the offseason you can get him some better targets.
Yes, and I 100% believe they will, because first of all, I believe they will have a top 10 pick. And with that top 10 pick, they should be getting one of these young stud wide receivers that will be coming out this year. And from there, who knows where they go. And so for now, it's important that this young new rookie coming in just continues to do what he's doing and learning as much as he can. But not to talk too much about this young guy, it was a great game for him. We'll see exactly where he takes this team. He's going to have a great long career if he keeps going down this path. I have no doubt about it. But I want to talk about somebody whose career is actually coming to maybe an end. And that's
maybe.
And I brought it up that maybe he should have retired because he was thinking about it already. And the words that he spoke, I'm telling you, it makes me sound a little concerned. That's all I'm saying. If you guys don't know who we're talking about Big Ben Roethlisberger. And, he had some words, some choice words in his interview in the locker room, and I'm just going to let you listen to it. You guys can get your minds wrapped around it if you haven't heard about it, and then we'll tell you exactly what we feel after we listen to it as well. So listen in.
Ben, what do you think's not happening in the passing game right now?
I'm not playing well enough.
Doing anything different? Why is that?
Don't think so, but maybe I am. Maybe I don't have it anymore.
What makes you think? Ben, do you see it?
Not playing well enough.
Ben, is it a case of, obviously some unusual things, some fluky things happen on those interceptions?
Yep, that's the way the ball bounces sometimes. You play this game long enough, you're going to get those games.
Ben, does doubt ever creep in? You think?
Nope. It's not. If anybody in this room ever has that doubt, they probably aren't here. You know what I'm saying? Like, just professional athletes shouldn't have doubt.
What will it take for this offense to reach its potential?
Me playing better?
Just nothing else? Seriously? Nothing else?
Nope.
All right, so you guys have heard it. That's exactly what Big Ben had to say about it. Eric, I'll start this one off, and I'll tell you, I feel like I was right all along. This man should have retired. I don't want to hear you tell me that maybe you don't have it anymore. What type of leader says some nonsense like that? Get that out of my face, man. I will never, ever want to follow a man who's maybe I don't have it anymore. Yeah, maybe I don't. That's crazy. You cannot say that. Now, there has been people who've come to the defense of him and said, nah, he's just saying that, but he don't really believe that. That's just all talk, whatever have you. But the perception that the fans are getting, that the media is getting, that is talk that makes us think back to when this man was contemplating retirement. I really don't comprehend what is going through this guy's mind to give out that type of perception, because he's never given out that type of perception before, and now all of a sudden he wants to say something like this after the offseason where he already said that he was going to retire. Am I wrong? Am I crazy here?
No, I don't think you're crazy. I don't think it was something that he should have said. I think it's worth noting that after that particular comment, he did follow up and say that he has no doubts in his abilities and that no professional athlete should have doubt. And if they do, they're in the wrong business or they shouldn't be doing it. I mean, if I were a Steelers fan, I would be worried, but let's be honest. Once a year, Big Ben is good for one of these games. One of these types of whoa.
5
that is not.
interceptions.
Yeah, he's good for one of those types of games. Maybe not this crazy with 5 interceptions. I think there was 2 pick sixes.
Their defense outscored them.
Yeah, right. I don't think it's anything to, totally blow out of proportion. I think Big Ben is a professional, and I think if he didn't believe in himself and thought that he didn't have it, he wouldn't be here. He's a savvy vet. He knows what he's doing. He's going to turn it around. I have a bold prediction for next week's game with him. I might not get into that right now, but he's going to turn it around. It's Big Ben. I'm confident that he's still got it.
So then let me ask you this. Do you think the Jaguars defense was just that good, or do you think it really falls on Big Ben? Because this isn't the first time that we have seen the Jaguars defense completely stun and outplay an offense.
Right.
There are 2 games that they've done this against were against AFC North opponents. Maybe they like to play against AFC North opponents. I don't know, because the Ravens got taken out the exact same manner, and now here comes Big Ben rolling in, and they get taken out the same way. So is it the Jaguars defense, or is it Big Ben? Because
I definitely wouldn't.
Go ahead.
I definitely wouldn't take anything away from the Jaguars defense. They're young, they're fast, they attack you. It's a good defense. I don't think we should take anything away from them.
I don't know, because I see plays like these, and I'm like, man, look at that. That defense is all over. They're covering. They're hustling to that ball. They're opportunistic. But then I see them go up against the Jets, and I'm like, yeah, I really I don't know.
That just goes to my point that I've been making all year long about this team, and they are the Jekyll and Hyde team in the NFL because you just never know what you're going to get. But for the most part, that defense is the most consistent thing about that team.
It is. It really is. And I'm going to say that this is more bad. I'm going to have to say it's more bad Big Ben than it is good Jacksonville defense. I could be wrong. We'll see exactly what happens with this defense going forward, and we'll see what happens with Big Ben going forward. We'll see if Big Ben continues down this line, this road that he's headed down, and we'll see if the Jaguars defense continues down the road that they're headed down, and we'll see where we come to at the end. But hey, it's been a great show. We are out of time. We are out of time, but it's been fun.
Unfortunately.
It's been real. We've gotten into some heated debates. We got into some down to earth and political debates, and it's a mixed bag today. It's really a mixed bag. A lot to think about. But it's always a good time being on the Game Plan. Thank everybody for listening. This is WUBA 88.1 FM. Of course, I'm here as always with my man Eric Alvarado.
Yes,
From
sir.
me to him, we're saying peace till tomorrow. We're always here Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m., 9 p.m. It's always a pleasure. Have a good one.
Peace.